Hey fellow tankers, it's Mobius Y here with some more game replays. Now normally my game replays I simply take some games that I recently played in a tank that I was using and I put them together in a video, add commentary, and upload them to YouTube to share with you guys. This one's a little bit different in that, like with the T67 game replays that I uploaded a couple weeks ago, these are my first games in the Tier 6 M18 Hellcat US turreted tank destroyer. This was actually my very first game in the Hellcat, and we wound up being top tier on Live Oaks. So I said to myself, oh, there's a really good chance I can have a pretty dang good game in my first outing with the Hellcat here. Now, since this is my first game, I actually didn't have a very well-trained crew, as I bumped the crew up from the T67 without overtraining it. So I didn't have a fully trained crew just yet. And I figured that might be a bit of a detriment to me, but it wound up not being too bad. So as soon as the game started, both myself and pretty much my whole platoon decided we're going to go to the town area on Live Oaks. Now, I wasn't going to go directly into the town, as like with the T67 of the previous tier, the Hellcat is kind of more of the same in that it's quite mobile, has a pretty good camo rating, fairly well-performing gun for its tier, slow turret traverse, and no resemblance of armor whatsoever. So I was going to stay back and let my platoon mates that were in the pair of T-3488s handle the actual town area, while I simply got some sniper shots into any enemies that were seen heading towards the town to try and get some initial damage in before they actually got into the town and posed a threat to my platoon mates. Missed the shot on the Chaffee, bounced a shot on the Jumbo Sherman, and didn't get the chance to shoot the KV-85 or the M6. So looking at the Jumbo Sherman, saw I still didn't have a good shot, so once these Matildas came around the corner, I immediately shifted my focus towards these Matildas, planted a good shot on one of them. Not sure if I tracked him, but he got unspotted, so I decided to turn away. And that's when this Churchill 7 was caught, very exposed, so I aimed for his turret, which is significantly weaker on a Churchill 7 than the hull. So I planted a nice shot in his turret. He turned sideways to try and pull away, so I planted one more shot into the side of his turret and damaged it. So turning back towards the Jumbo Sherman, saw he was moving and heading into town. So his sidearm is exposed now, so I lined up a nice shot, planting a good hit on the Jumbo Sherman, knocking him down to possibly a two-shot to eliminate that tank there. So just keeping my eyes open, just looking for shots on anybody exposing weak parts of their armor, or side shots into town even. No good shots into town just yet, but I waited and thought the KV-85 would actually continue pulling forward, but he stopped to line up a shot and managed to mess up my shot. So I aimed a little bit too far ahead, must have shot a building there at the KV-85. Really poor pair of poorly placed shots there, but seeing the Churchill 7 slightly exposed, I tried to take him out, but he inched forward just at the last second, and my shot wound up going behind him and totally missing. The Electo pulls way too far forward, exposing himself, allowing me to plant a nice shell to finish him off and take him out of the game once and for all. Still seeing the KV-85 moving, so I planted a good hit through his front armor plating, knocking him down to about half health, getting a good hit on him. So seeing the KV-85 and the Jumbo there on the left with another medium tank, a T-3488 on the right, I knew I didn't really want to peek with all three guns facing me simultaneously. So I simply kept peeking up to continue getting spots for my team and for artillery in the back, who was trying to help, as they did continue marking that they're trying to shoot these enemy tanks that are still in town here. KV-85 rolls up right in our face. Artillery lands a nice hit tracking him, and the Hellcat next to me gets a nice shot on him, dropping him to one shot and allowing me to finish him off. At that point, that's when the Jumbo starts backing up, and the Jackson next to me, sorry, it was a Jackson, not a Hellcat, lands a nice side shot onto the Jumbo Sherman and takes him out. So we know there's still that Churchill 7, and he just got spotted, so I decided to aim in and take a chance firing a shot, but the T-3488 peeked out at that moment as well. Both the T-3488 and the Churchill 7 landed some good hits on me, knocking myself down to a one-shot. So this Jackson peeking out starts shooting the Churchill 7, so I decided to take my chances. Tried an auto-lock shot on the Churchill, but he died just before my shell could take him out. The Jackson's scoring another kill. So I'm trying to peek this ridge here, wondering if I can move, but the T-34-88 was waiting for me, and he takes me out of the game with a nicely placed shot. Unfortunately, that's the end of the game for me, but seeing as how we were still up about 9-2, I wasn't too concerned about us losing the game. And naturally, we were able to pull off the win, as the rest of the Reds were severely outnumbered. That was my ×2 victory for the day. I got 2828 XP, 1340 damage dealt, and a little under 300 assisted damage. Not a bad first game with the Hellcat. Set a very good first impression for sure, dealing over twice the amount of damage that this tank has hit points. So that was a very good first game for me. I was quite satisfied with that one. The second game here on Murovanka goes a little bit odd, as for a while there I was a little unsure what to do, and you will probably see it here. I'm hitting a moment of indecision, deciding if I should head to the other side of the map and back up my platoon mates, or stay where I am and support the side of the map that I was on, as it was severely outnumbered by the red tanks on the other team. But we'll see what happens here. So loading into the map, I take a look at the teams, and it's a heavy tier 8 and tier 7 game. So my whole platoon was bottom tier, but that wasn't really a concern of ours. We were still gonna try and have a good game here and help out our team as best as we could. Pair of T-150s on the other team, along with a Cromwell. There was also a Tiger II FCM 50-ton, even a Black Prince tier 7 heavy tank. So a fair amount of nasty-looking tanks on the other team here. So I went to the right side of the map here. Our right side of the map, on the west side of the map, over in the D1, E1 area. I figured I would go up on that little ridge there. There's a small dip that I can use as cover to hide behind if I ever get spotted. But from back here, for the most part, I should remain unspotted, allowing me to get shots down this side of the map on any of the enemy tanks that overexpose themselves, which happens very frequently. And you see a lot of tank destroyers come to this part of the map on Redshire if they spawn on the north side of the map. So I simply decided to stay put. The Borsig was coming up on my left-hand side. The T-28 Proto was going to be a while climbing the hill on the far left, because the T-28 Proto is atrociously slow. And we had no heavy tank backup, so I immediately noted that by pinging the heavy tanks on our map, as they all seem to be dilly-dallying back at our base still. This included a Tier 7 Tiger P T-29 and a top-tier T-32 that had still not decided what they wanted to do. But they eventually decided to go to the other side of the map, where most of our team already was positioned. Very interesting choice of direction to take there, so I'd simply let it go. Looking around for shots, I see the Black Prince barely poking up, but I didn't want to try taking that shot, as I didn't think I would hit him. Looking at the Tiger, not seeing any shots there, so I simply turned my attention back to this Black Prince and aim in on the top of his turret and figure, why not? Let's take a shot. And I threaded the needle somehow. RNG graced me there, and I got a nice hit into the turret side of the Black Prince for 267 damage. I figure it can't happen twice, can it? And sure enough, it does. Nice turret hit on the Black Prince for 265 damage there. 2 shots, threaded 2 needles. Just unbelievable result there. Already got 2 penning hits, so at this stage I was content. I knew that I was going to have at least the amount of damage dealt that this tank has HP at that point, so I wasn't too concerned of how the battle would progress from this point. The Black Prince was still in the very back, obviously sniping at the Borsig, so I decided to pull back and give the Borsig room to back up and hide behind cover for himself, and he continued getting fired at by the Black Prince. Now, the Black Prince does have a good view range, so it's entirely possible he was spotting the Borsig, but he could have very well just been blind firing as well. One of my platoon mates in a medium tank comes over to this side to start spotting for us. As I did mention that we basically had no support here. Nobody was out front to spot for us, and we had no heavy tanks to deflect shots or soak damage for us. So my platoon mate came over in the T-34-88, started getting some spots for us, lighting up this Tiger for me, allowing me to plant one nice shot into the Tiger, dropping him down to a 1-shot. And immediately on reloading, I was able to plant the second shot and finish off that Tiger Tier 7 heavy tank. So not a bad start to the game whatsoever. I know I've got 4 penning hits. 3 of them were for full damage, and 1 of them was to take out a Tier 7 heavy tank. So I wasn't too concerned of how the rest of the battle would progress at this point, as I knew I was going to have a fairly decent game in the post-game results screen. Seeing the Black Prince peek over, his turret is facing me, so I knew that it's pretty much zero chance that I'm going to pen the front of the Black Prince's turret. So I decided to simply wait it out, see if either this Tiger II heavy tank or this TD on the right, which I wasn't sure what it was, would overcommit and give me a nice shot into their side. Still had two heavy tanks on our team in the very center of the map, which was extremely confusing, as that's a very odd place to take a heavy tank on Marovanka. Seeing the Black Prince overcommit, the Borsig whacks him, but unfortunately I'm not able to get the finishing shot off, so I decided I'm going to start moving up now, try and support my platoon mate in the T-34-88 up on the front lines here, but unfortunately she gets taken out before I can get into position to assist them. And this is when I see that the tank destroyer over here is a T-25-2. He's already a one-shot, so our T-28 Proto takes advantage of that and knocks him out of the game. So simply waiting in this position for my opportunity to use the Hellcat's speed to try and get in behind these tanks and do kind of a medium tank flank and shank on this Tiger II. I was looking for the Black Prince, but it looks like he turned tail and buggered out, so I simply got into a position where I was behind this Tiger II on top of the ridge, putting a nice shot into his backside to take him out of the game. And that's when I spotted the Black Prince, who duffed his shot on me, luckily not hitting me. And before I could even turn to get my turret facing him to take the shot, the Borsig takes him out for me. Continuing to pull forward, spotting the M12, T-28 Proto takes him out in one well-placed shot, dealing with very dangerous artillery on the enemy team. So at this point we've got the upper hand on this side of the map. So I continued pulling forward and immediately started by shooting this T-28 for a full damage shot as he was still on full health. When he disappeared, I decided it's time to start shooting this Hellcat, as I know I can pen him no matter where I hit him. But in doing so, I got spotted by something on the enemy team, so I simply backed up, waited to become unspotted, and the Hellcat got taken out just before my own auto-lock shot fired. So I tried continuing to pull forward here, seeing if I could spot any of their base campers, seeing a Nashorn, knocking him down with one nicely placed hit, and the friendly Borsig takes him out of the game for me. Pulling forward, now there's an enemy E-25, so at this point I was quite nervous, as an E-25 could very easily out-DPM me and take me out of the game in no time at all. So I knew my only hope was to try and get behind him as best as I could, as unlike the Hellcat, the E-25 has no turret. So I was blocking shots for my teammates here, but I was tracked. Thankfully the T-28 Proto pulls up just in time to finish him off for me and basically save me from this game, as he did get a couple nasty hits on me. 2 more shots and that E-25 would have killed me for sure. Peeking out on the T-28 Proto, couldn't tell if he was looking at me or not, but it seemed as though he was turned in this direction, so I simply auto-locked a Hail Mary shot and fired. And knowing I was going to pull out and probably get spotted, I backed up to gain more speed and get past these buildings here, trying to go for the flank on this T-28, as I knew I was not going to pen him from the front, since he was facing us. So I decided to swing wide, get around on the flanks, and get either some side or rear shots on this T-28. That's when our base started being capped, so I simply waited for my shot, planted a nice low roll on the T-28, knocking him down to one shot, allowing the Borsig to take him out of the game for us. Now whatever tank was back on our base, capturing our base, must have not planned to stay there, because he got off almost right away, but he did alert us to where his location was. Not sure where the Lerva was, not sure where the FCM 50-ton was. 2 tanks that I wanted to get some damage on and gain some more XP for this game. I was trying to coax the rest of the team to get off the cap and simply come over to kill the rest of their tanks. So peeking over this ridge, that's when I spotted the Lerva. Got my turret around more quickly than he got his turret around, thankfully, planting one nice side shot into the Lerva to finish it off and take it out of the game. And knowing that the FCM 50-ton was the last tank, somebody spotted him in the lower left corner, somewhere over there, so I started heading in that direction. I figured he might be back towards our base initially, but our artillery spotted him way down in the lower left corner of the map. But the rest of our team decided, no, we're just going to sit on the flag and cap this out. We could very easily have overpowered that FCM 50-ton to take him out and finish off this game once and for all, but my team decided that was not going to be the case this time. Excuse me. Still a very well played game. 2436 XP earned, 55,000 silver, 2,287 damage dealt, 1407 assisted. Not a bad game whatsoever, especially considering I was bottom tier in the Hellcat. So folks, this has been Mobius Y. Those were some replays in the Hellcat. My first 2 games in the M18 Hellcat Tier 6 Tank Destroyer. Stick around for a full review of this nasty little machine. In the meantime, I hope to see you next time. Have a good night.